Good evening and welcome to episode 19. We're at JimBob cast. I'm pretty fucked off.
And I'm Bob. Why are you fucked off? Is it football?
There's actually a lot of things at the moment, but like Arsenal have done nothing in the last week to improve my mood. In fact, actually, they've done a hell of a lot of things to help condition me into the mindset of fuckery. So,
But we have some good news, James. Good news this week. Obviously, Boris has announced his roadmap to opening the country, which means pub gardens open from the 12th of April. The pubs themselves open from the 17th of May. It means that Arsenal's last home game versus Brighton can have 10,000 fans, and we can all enjoy the Euros in a restriction-free environment. That is positive news, don't you think, James?
Yes, if we stay to plan, which I don't think we've seen any mandate stay to date plan yet. So
no, I mean and I think the way they've come out and talked about it, and they've been very open, and probably for the first time in this whole pandemic actually shot to the line, with what they're going to do and what they're going to say. And I thought it's a really positive thing. There's things to look forward to. There's things we need to do to get there as a country, as a human race. And if we all follow the rules a little bit now, it's the hardest yard, this one, but we can get there. Don't you agree?
No, I do agree with that. There must be light at the end of the tunnel. I think obviously one thing that, they do deserve quite a lot of credit for is, there's only Israel and United Arab Emirates, funnily enough, who have a more successful vaccination program in play at the moment. And obviously with a lot less people, but obviously percentages are percentages. I think the vaccination, my mum's getting vaccinated on Thursday, which means just me and my good lady wife, that the only members of my household or my family that have not yet received the jab, which is brilliant news, because I think we'll be fine. We're quite good, I've obviously been worried about them. But the level of vaccines that are being dished out now is quite fantastic. Yeah, no, I think the country have done very well with that. So it does give the underlying mindset maybe that this rollout has quite a lot of credence, and I think we'll see a reaction to the mass return to school, which I think is massive news. I think there's probably parents around the country that are about to vote Conservative that weren't a week ago. So yeah, look, we will see, but I wish them well. I don't, on that subject quickly, which actually takes us into FOTW quite nicely.
There's a few points that are going to take us from this into FOTW in a second, James. One we had a very good discussion about.
Yeah.
But yeah, you carry on with what you're saying about Boris. Sorry, pal.
But, fundamentally, he has been the number one probably on the trending list for a long, long time of the keyboard warriors who have just goaded him about how he's managed the country. And I think there are some elements that are out of his control, sometimes with border control and things like that, where the actual number of live cases that the country had was probably way beyond what it should have been. Actually, if you ask anyone in the country for the money that he's actually paid in comparison to other people, I wouldn't want his job,
if you compare the money, I'd like to see this actually, how much Boris Johnson earns compared to Jermaine Genius would be a fantastic comparison. Maybe we'll get the stats out on that next week, James.
Well, he earns the same money a year as Willian earns a week.
For fuck's sake. Well, there you go. That sums it all up in the great words of Martin Tyler. I haven't said that for a few weeks. But fuck of the weeks is what we're going to come on to in a minute. But I tell you a candidate for fuck of the week. We both watched it on Monday night when he did his press conference. I believe it was the Daily Mail journalist.
His name was Jason, I believe.
Yeah, that's it. They open up and he turns around with something like, well, where's this buccaneering Boris that we saw in the last election? You're a bit more of a doomster now. And it spurred me to think, The journalism in these number 10 press conferences is fucking shambolic. Imagine, and I said that to you, Mourinho and Klopp would have none of this level of journalism. They don't. They would just eviscerate them on the spot. They would say, what are you doing asking me these questions? And I jokingly said to you, I said, fucking Fergie, old Alex Ferguson, if he got asked some of these questions, I mean, he would fucking shoot them dead on the spot. He would have them killed. If you ask Fergus some of these questions. I mean, he famously didn't talk to the BBC for somewhat near 2 seasons because of the comments they made. And he actually called Gary Lineker a cunt to his face. I've dropped the C-bomb, but I was quoting.
I mean, it was absolutely shambolic. I was shocked, actually. And I thought he actually handled it quite well in the end because, because he said the right things, that it's not a time to be buccaneering when you're playing with people's lives, which is still very much the case in point here. So the bloke's just got his 2 minutes of fame and just wants to be remembered for being a complete dickwad, Yeah, so
there was another one that questioned Patrick Vallance and said about what, the things we have to do, like wearing a mask and things like that. And I can't quote him, I can't remember, but Patrick Vallance goes, well, we don't really know on masks yet because we haven't seen any data. But he goes, I would expect everyone would still wash their hands because that's just good hygiene. It's like, what the hell are you talking? These are the people that actually are the public's voice versus the establishment. And if the people that are the public's voice cannot ask the correct questions, then they're fucking dog shit, the journalisms. I do have to say that one of the worst things out of this pandemic has been the quality of the journalism, and that's probably why we don't have the answers. I think the best journalism I've seen in the whole of this fucking pandemic, I'm not going to say Piers Morgan, I'm going to say it's been the One Show, because they've been brilliant at explaining it to the layman. But no, anyway, it is that time again. It is the light at the end of the tunnel, the fuck of the week, James. Here we go. And it's a serious one this week, isn't it?
It is, and it's not a particular individual. It's probably putting a host of unknowns into a box, but it's been happening more and more recently, and then it's been continuing to be stepping up. But for all those people on the social media mediums, behind Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, MySpace, Tinder, Grindr, Finder, Linder, fucking put it in a Gripler. I mean, whatever it is, people who are cowardly using either fake domains, avatars, profiles to torment real human beings, whether it be sexually, racially, a form of bullying, it's just absolutely outrageous. And this tirade has to stop. And a very near second, actually, in my opinion, for fuck of the week, is the CEOs, chairmen and board members of these mediums who, in my opinion, continue to do very little. It's not seen what work they are doing. Do you know what I mean? So in order to, have some level of serious compliance in order to prevent these things coming into said networks. And, a lot of people like the allure of the fact that they can engage with celebrities, whether it's indirectly or not, but when, they get a sense of, individual healing maybe from whether it be a Piers Morgan, a Gemma Collins or a Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang's opinion on a matter. And, we weren't privy to this, you and I, growing up, because we were of an age where it's happened later in life.
Indeed. If we were bullied, it was by the bloke in the playground. And at least at that moment in time, you had a chance to clump him back.
Well, and it's a little bit more. It's so much less cowardly when someone has to physically, face that particular moment where they want to suppress someone to bullying in a visual sense, because that comes with known actions. These people don't have profiles; they're alter egos. They are a series of letters and numbers, which is not obviously what's written on their passport. So.
It's just over a year on from Caroline Flack's death to suicide, where Be Kind and all of that was really put out in the media and probably due to the pandemic, never got the fullness of what it required to get them. But no, what's been happening in the last few weeks, whether it be Nketiah, whether it be Willian, whether it be Hector Bellerin, I'm picking Arsenal players here, but it's unanimous around the whole world. Alex Scott, Karen Carney, let's look at it. Karen Carney, isn't the best pundit out there. In fact, she's not very good. But neither's Jermaine Genius, neither's Michael Owen, neither's Danny Murphy, in my opinion. But that doesn't worthy them to be abused. Alex Scott is probably one of the best pundits out there. Now, her sex is nothing to do with the quality of her punditry, the same as Karen Carney's, Alan Shearer and Ian Wright are phenomenal pundits, as is Roy Keane. Their sex is nothing to do with the quality of their punditry. Neither is Michael Owens, etc., and Jermaine Genius's. It's not. So we must not judge the people. Please, by all means, have an opinion and say, I don't agree with you. I actually think you're not very good. We're allowed to say that. I am allowed to say that Willian is not very good at the moment because there is proof there that he is. I am not allowed to abuse him because of his race.
The warrant of free speech and opinion, it hasn't been taken away from anyone, but you don't have to do it in a derogatory way where it offends someone's size, colour, looks, clothes, sex. It doesn't need to be done in that manner. It can. You are well within your right to say another bad game, in my opinion, for Willian. I just don't understand why Arteta continues to pick him. There's nothing outrageous about that whatsoever, and that wouldn't get caught by any compliance nets left in the social media holes trying to pick up words that would probably, seem distasteful.
You're absolutely right. I tweeted last week, free speech is a wonderful thing, but its essence is that it should have no cost to listen to as it has no cost to speak. That's what free speech is. It should be free. People won't like what somebody says, but they shouldn't be hurt by what somebody says, And I think it's wrong. It must stop because people will take their own lives because of it. And it's just not fair, Life should be a bit nicer at the moment. It's been a hard time for everyone. Just be kind and be nice. Stop doing it. Social media companies, stop it happening. Make people register themselves. Make everybody have a blue tick. You must go through a registration process to get to the stage of using this platform. I would do it. You would do it. Everyone would do it. And if you want to give someone a higher ranking because they're a celebrity, give them a gold tick, but make sure everybody's verified. It's the least you can do, because if I'm having somebody call me a name, I want to know who's calling me a name so I can listen to them and argue with them and debate with them, not because I'm getting tormented behind some sort of avatar. And by the way, I'm quite thick-skinned, or at least that's what I tell my dietitian. But no, it's just not fair and right, and we must stop this now because someone's gonna die and it's gonna blow us away. So this week's fuck of the week goes out to all of you, anyone that stands behind a profile that is fake and throws abuse at somebody that is human and real. How dare you? You must stop.
You fuck.
Indeed. So, Benfica. A home leg and away leg, both away from home. Obviously, we played them last Thursday, drew 1-1 in less than fantastic circumstances, and we are due to play them this Thursday in what can only be described as, well, we've said this several times this season, a must-win game.
Hopefully they don't Benfuck us.
Benfuck us, indeed. Well, it started so well. We cut them apart like a fine cheese, and then Aubameyang misses a sitter. It was harder to miss that than to score it.
It had an element of a lot of things about it, which I think have been it was actually the perfect game to see when you paper over cracks reappear really quickly. Because it had an element of Wolves about it, where we bashed them up, but we didn't convert our chances, and then we got punished subsequently. And, arguably, we should have been home and dry in that game. 2-1, 3-1, 4-1. wouldn't have flattered the score based on the dominance in the early parts of the game.
Absolutely. But unfortunately,
Xhaka continued to play well. I thought Ceballos showed something in Party missing out, which I thought was very good for him, because that would have been a notable miss. Defensively, we had flaws again on the right-hand side. Ødegaard started to show a little more promise, but looked a little bit lost.
At times he was good. At times I thought he was really good at moments. And, him and Saka looked well together. I did think there was some good link-up play with them that was pleasing.
Yeah, no, there were some link-up plays, but then I thought that it got sloppy as the game went on, and then we actually wasted a hell of a lot of possession in the final third.
We did. I mean, we controlled that game, but we never did anything with our control. And that's the problem. It reminded me of last year when we got beat by Olympiacos. And I just think it's going to come back to haunt us, only scoring one away goal, which means we're 1-1. If they score twice on Thursday night, it means we've got to score 3 goals.
Well, even if they score once, we've got to score twice.
Well, no, we can score 1 and go to penalties, etc. But if they score twice, we have to win outright. Whereas at least with 1-1 both ways, we could go to extra time and penalties, where we obviously would have a chance of the away goal not being counted once it gets to penalties. But no, absolutely, James. We controlled it, but we didn't assert control. Penalty, they scored, they got given. No real complaints about that. For the first time in a few weeks, VAR could look at that several times. It was a penalty, schoolboy error, really, wasn't it, from ESR?
It was a schoolboy error. It was, it showed a lack of maturity and
experience.
Yeah, and it was just poor, But then it was a very, very good response by some really good play by Cedric, and Saka responding straight after.
It was a good goal. I enjoyed that goal.
No, it was a good goal. Yeah, it was a really well worked goal. But it's still it was poor, and we were poor. I don't really know what else to say, Bob. I think I said to you, I had a bit of a conversation with you the other evening, and I said to you, I think we've been poor for a long time, actually, and the results have helped us paper over the cracks, but we haven't been convincing really for 90 minutes for a long time.
I think the last time we actually were probably 90, all 90 of the minutes convincing would have been the game versus West Bromwich Albion. We were good then. We were, even against Newcastle and beat them.
That was in the snow. They just had a managerial change, and they are proper candidates to go down. So Allardyce at that point had inherited a team that he hadn't really had long enough to work with. So it was a bit of a freebie. 90 minutes against Benfica, we talk about territorial dominance, but we only had 7 shots on goal, 2 on target. We only had a solitary shot on target against Man City. All of a sudden, we're back to the numbers that Arteta brought to us pre-Chelsea, when everyone, well, certainly you and I had said...
I definitely was in that one, yeah.
Yeah, you and I but certainly said that Chelsea arguably is the make or break game for him. He shouldn't really keep his job beyond that point. He'd have been in the job properly for a whole year at that point. And I'm honestly this coming Thursday is so significant to Arsenal's season now. It is literally that situation again.
Shit or bust.
Yeah, our Arsenal season finishes in February if they don't go through this tie on Thursday evening. And that is such a fall from grace from where, like I always say to you, fans were so desperate to remove Wenger. And I don't deny that maybe he needed his time away from the club, but we targeted the wrong entity to get aggressive with, in my opinion, because the same people are still leading the football club, and it's still free-falling. From Wenger's worst season, oh my fucking God, if you offered Mikel Arteta 63 points today in the Premier League, he would chew off a fucking herd of hyenas for it. I mean...
No, you're absolutely right. And that game, and that's one of the things that really pissed me off about last Thursday's game, was the negativity, the lack of impetus we've put into that game. We should have left it out there. We should have battered them to make this Thursday an easier game. It was negativity. Yes, it was fantastic to see Carantini back on the pitch. You know, and I think normally bringing on a player of his stature to replace Cedric on the right could be seen as an attacking substitution. However, he's been out for weeks. You know, asking and hoping for him to change the game was going out a bit on a limb, because the bloke's match fitness would be far from it. You know, then he's made substitutions with Pepe and Martinelli on for Smith Rowe and Aubameyang. You know, again, what do we think about those substitutions, James?
This is my biggest issue with Arteta. I cannot evidence a situation in any games under his control where we have changed the formation or the personnel on the pitch to be more attacking bias than the one that kicks off the game. And that is outrageous, in my opinion. It honestly baffles me. He took far too long to make changes in that game, and the personnel changes were like for likes. It wasn't like, we've got 20 minutes here. It's a neutral ground with no fans. So it's not like you're playing away in Portugal under the sun with 50,000 Portuguese breathing down your neck. It is a neutral ground, just the same way as this coming Thursday is going to be. It's just that the Arsenal will be before Benfica in the score monogram at the top of the game. So,
good word, monogram, by the way, there, James. Fantastic word. Have you been eating thesauruses?
I know. I've had a couple of good weeks, haven't I?
Yeah, you have. So, you know, the point is that I've said this to you on a number of occasions, and I think he got lucky pre-Chelsea, because people definitely judge him, by the way. Chelsea was the linchpin to the new Arteta regime. Pre that period where we were up against the wall, either losing or drawing games, players got sent off, and then he had an excuse to batten down the hatchet a bit. But you get no prizes for second. And I do want to roll City a little bit into Benfica, because it continued at Man City, and he set the team up at Man City to not lose badly. But I think he set the team up to lose the game. And I was appalled at the output from... I think we can give Man City a lot more time. But one of the things with that game, with his substitutions, and it really bugged me, this substitution of all. You know, look, I can gloss over whether I like Aubameyang and Smith Rowe going off of Pepe and Martinelli. I can move on from that. That was on 77 minutes. You can understand fresh legs and things like that. Fresh, fast legs as well. But the substitutions on the 90th minute of Willian and El Nene for Ceballos and Odegaard, I just don't understand of it. You know, when we are needing to get a goal and change a game, positivity is the essential requirement, and once again, he's played a super negative card. Point number one, what's a 90th minute substitution going to achieve other than waste time? Point number two, El Nene is a defensive midfielder. He's a winning 2-1, we're winning 2-1 kind of substitution to bring on in the 90th minute to waste time and to firm up the midfield. Point three, Willian, was it just to get him appearance money because it's a draw? Because he offered us 0. But every single player we could have brought on in the 90th minute would have probably offered us 0 because of the timing. You've got Nketiah and Lacazette on the bench. If you're bringing them on 84 minutes, 85 minutes, there's time for them to influence the game. Time for us to attack and score a goal. A second goal, an away goal, winning that 2-1 or even drawing 2-2. That's an important part. Getting that second away goal was absolutely critical. Absolutely critical. And it's what burnt us last year in Olympiacos. It's exactly what burnt us last year. And it is gonna, how can I explain it, fist us again this year. Arteta, that is not how you manage a game. You have made bad substitutions now for very, very long times. And it's not just that you brought Willian on. Forget that. If you'd have brought Willian on in 78 minutes or 81 minutes and you give him a chance to change the game, then maybe you can debate me that. But bring him on the 90th minute when he can't change the game if you bring him in the bloody first minute. It's pointless. It's pointless to bring on players that cannot offer anything. And that's what bugs me about Arteta. It bugs me so much. We're playing in Benfica. So we're playing Benfica as the home team this week in Greece, in Athens, at the home of Olympiacos. It's exactly the place where our demise this time last year started. And he's just going back to square one. It's almost like he's ignorant. He doesn't understand. He's so stubborn and ignorant. He doesn't learn from his mistakes. And that's annoying because, as you rightly said, James, we destroyed Wenger, as a fan base. Wenger out brigade. Was so huge and vocal year after year. Yet in Arteta we trust, perhaps. I don't know about this. He talked this week in his pre-game press conference before the Benfica game about Olympiacos. I thought it was cruel the way we got knocked out of the competition, he said. The tie was in our hands and we scored a goal, but then we just conceded in the last minute of extra time. Yeah, but once you do concede, you're fucked.
That is just such a naive comment to make. It's like the bank manager of the Bank of England saying, I thought it was really cruel that the robbers targeted our vault. It just so happened that we had the door open on the day they came. So all of your life savings is now gone. But, it was just really unfortunate because it happened at 11:59 and we normally lock the vault at midnight. What the fuck? I mean, honestly, what utter nonsense. It's a results-driven business that deals in facts alone. No fiction, no cruelty, nothing. You can win the game, draw the game, or lose it. The opposition scored more goals than you in the tie. You got knocked out, and they went forward. End of story.
Absolutely. I mean, if you look back at, I think Arteta's press conferences, both post and pre-matches, this season have really started to grate on me. I've been listening and reading the Wenger book. We talked about earlier on about the press conferences that the government are giving and how they're going about it. His press conference, he just comes out and says utter bollocks, baffling stuff about mathematics and crosses. And if my auntie a bollock should be my uncle. And it's a lot of waffle. Do you know who the mole is in the dressing room? Yes, I think I do. You can't say that even if you do. It's rule 101 of press conferences. The Arsene Wenger famous line, I didn't see the decision. That's what you say. Wenger's pressers, managers gone by, the Klopps, the Mourinhos, they are masters of the press conference. Arteta is masters of bollocks. We are going to Benfica this week, and it is beyond a must-win game, James. It is season or bust. Ending a season that began in October or late September, ending a season that began then at the end of February, total demise, nothing left to play for, may as well pack up and go home and go on your holiday till next year, is absolutely scandalous for a team that is Arsenal. We are Arsenal fucking football club. We are the Arsenal. The Invincibles.
Anything other than going through the tie will mean that he is categorically fuck of the week next week.
He has to, not only does he have to get through the tie, he has to win there. It is literally, he must play his stronger side, James. No ifs, no buts. Partey's back in training. Back in full training today. Do you know what? He fucking plays. I don't care if he's back in full training. He is better than anybody else.
I think they're probably already, if he's trained though, they're probably already in Rome, Bob. I mean, the kickoff's less than 24 hours away, so.
Yeah, I mean, what they're going to be doing is in Greece. Oh boy, they're Rome last week. It's Greece this week.
Oh, right, sorry.
So what they're going to do is they're going to do exactly the same as what they did last week. They're going to be out there now training. And then they're going to stay on Friday and train, and then they're going to come back Friday evening like they did last week. That's a bit sensible. But he's got to play stronger side. I don't give a fuck. He's got to play the strongest tactics. He's got to go for the win. He's got to put everything out there. He has to try and, if he loses 2-0 or if he loses 4-3, but he's gone out there and given it everything, then he's, I've wrote it in our notes here, James. Leicester on Sunday must not be a consideration in his little head. He must take off the action man hair that he loves to wear, and just think, I have 90 minutes in front of me. If I do not perform for that 90 minutes, everything's done. Leave everything out on the pitch. Blood, sweat, tears. Set fire to the tears, Arsenal. Play proper football. Smash Benfica off the park. Give us something positive to talk about and go on and win. It's so important, James. But he's just not going to do it, is he?
It doesn't appear so. I mean, I've had an issue with him now for a little while, because this does actually move us into Man City, and
it does.
I held issue with everything that happened on the weekend with the City game. I thought it was appalling. I mean, honestly, and it was actually everything that Arsenal have tried to do in years gone by fooling its fan base, that people think that we're closer, and pundits and fans completely took the bait. You know, they were never not in the game. We weren't in the game, and City shut down. They never got out of first gear. Never got out of first gear. And just because Guardiola acknowledged Arteta's Arsenal pre and post match, people think that he's had a hard graft. That is what you talk about when you're talking about journalist management. What Guardiola did, because he didn't. The retrospective heart rates of the teams around. You know, neither side never got above 100 beats per minute. You know, it was just meandering around the field. It
was a benign football match, and I've said it to the listeners.
It almost looked like one of those games that got caught for match fixing. It was like
Hansi Cronje's walking around with a leather jacket somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what, James? Sometimes to watch a football match, I've got to go for a few bits, haven't I? I've got to ask the lovely lady at home. I've got to maybe offer things in recompense for taking up the TV for an afternoon watching football. It doesn't always fall for my luck. So there I am, Man City. I've offered her in response. I've said, do you know what, love? I'll do your feet tonight. I get the foot spa out, give them a nice soak, tutor them all up and all that. That's what that pile of shit cost me. That benign bollocks cost me doing that. And I don't mind. I love her to bits, but you know, I could have sacked that off and watched something else.
You do stink of someone who owns a foot spa as well. I mean,
I love a foot spa, but you know, it's a really good foot spa as well. I get it up to about 42 degrees, which is quite hot, because I feel it has to be really hot around the feet. But anyway, we're not going to bore people with my foot spa fetishes. But you know, it was good to see Pepe back in the team, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, but then I didn't know what it had done to him, having him missing from the team for 2.5 games, when he was probably our most in-form attacker at the point where he was taken out of the team, which was a bit of a head-scratcher.
That's a good point. They're taken out of the team.
You and I both said about Pepe, someone needs to put their arm around him for a period of time. That period had started. He was 4 games into it and probably averaged a contribution a game, if not a game and every game and a half. So, you know, statistically was exactly where you need someone to be in his position, if not better. And then all of a sudden ousted, no, take 10 days on the go and get splinters for 10 days.
Well, hold on. He's done exactly the same thing with Lacazette. And now all of a sudden he's ostracised Smith Rowe to the left wing, you know?
And that brings you back to the point. So, yes, it was good to see him in the team, but the way he was going to set up against Man City, bearing in mind it's sandwiched his 2 biggest games of the year, it felt like a reserve game for Pepe. And then he's been getting something out of the left-hand side. Tierney comes back into the side, so he's probably licking his lips. And then Saka goes left side and Pepe goes right. And Pepe, you know, before the game, all the pundits were talking about Saka's return since he has made the right wing position his own. And then against the best team in the country, he changes the wingers around. Aubameyang went fucking missing. That was absolutely from someone who recently scored a hat trick. His form against Benfica was atrocious, and he shouldn't. And it's inexplainable how he didn't score that opportunity, because if it was a fine save, you let it off, but it missed the target by half a metre. That is like bowling a wide off the square, so that's not great. and his contribution against Manchester City was absolutely immiscible. And the fact to put more light upon that is that he is the captain of the Association Football Club just makes it diabolical, completely, it's completely and utterly disrespectful to his employer to give that little in the game. The rest of the starting lineup I took umbrage with. He continues to persevere with Bellerin. He is in dreadful form, a continuation of the bad form that he's had previously, but then he's had a spark of 45 minutes or a moment in the game or beating a keeper near post where he gets through a game. But he was poor against Benfica, and he was utterly woeful against Manchester City, as was Rob Holding, who's been poor now. I think we're calling it new contract syndrome.
We are.
So, not a lot Leno could do. He's pretty solid bar the goal that he got literally fuck all support with from his two defenders. To allow for a 6'2" centre back and a right back with 250 plus top echelon appearances, to allow a 5'6", 5'7" winger to get in between the both of you and out jump you with a free header 7 yards out is sackable, in my opinion. I mean, that is absolutely gross misconduct.
In the second minute of the match, James, as well.
It's appalling.
It's a dreadful thing. We've now conceded early goals. Southampton in the Cup, Villa in the league, City. The game just dies because the opposition know we've scored here. This is brilliant. This is brilliant. Just shut up shop. They won't beat us.
But when I hate to use Wenger, but he's kind of the only pillar that you can, do comparisons against, because he managed the club for 20 plus years. And when he went down in games, you used to see the frustration in his teams because teams would park two banks of four on the edge of their own box and he would have all the creative players just trying to find the holes. And then if he found one and got the game back to 1-1, he often went on and won the games because the teams were like, shit, we better try and get something out of the game. We'd banked on this two banks of four working and us nicking it 1-0. Now it's 1-0. We'll step up 5 yards. And then all of a sudden, he had all the pace in his team always to get in behind and get in and go again.
Or if you want to associate with another manager that managed Arsenal for a while, George Graham would never have that village defending whatsoever in his team. There was a moment in the second half, Smith Rowe had come on and City were attacking, and the nearest bloke to the attacking winger on the Arsenal right-hand side, the City left, was Smith Rowe, the number 10 at that point, running back. Bellerin is languishing on the halfway line, some probably 25 yards away from the ball. He's the right fucking fullback. Holding's out of position at that moment. I think David Luiz apologies, Rob Holding. Rob Holding had gone off for being concussed. David Luiz is in great position where he should be, but it's almost like everyone's in the right position, and it was Smith Rowe that got the defence in. By that time, Bellerin had, he planted a tree on the way back or what have you, had a fucking tofu sandwich. And then it's just, Bellerin is not good enough to play for Arsenal Football Club at this moment in time. Him and Willian, in my opinion, are the stories of our season of stubborn, ignorant, foolish management. I don't take any more umbrage of El Nene. We've established he's not good enough. We understand what job he portrays to the team.
He has got a unique set of skills, and administered in the right way, he has to have creative people play all around him. Like El Nene's someone you play in a free with two creative players. He gets away with it with Partey because Partey is such a box-to-box natural player, but he has the ability to move the ball in both directions through the air and along the carpet. So he can play next to him, plus a number 10 who can move the ball, whether it's at feet or whether it's passing the ball. So El Nene could function with those players, but he will sneak deeper and deeper and deeper and play on the toes of a centre-back, El Nene. So when you're chasing games or you're down in games, he's not the person to have on the pitch. You need to replace him early. And, it's the same thing that fucked me off with the left-back situation. We lost Kolasinac in the first moment of the window. We went down to a Sterling header 2 minutes into the game. There was again no changes whatsoever in structure to try and take the game to them. And
Absolutely.
they just sat off 5 yards, and that was Arsenal pressing them. But we never worked Ederson. We had a solitary shot on target in 90 minutes, which is outrageous. It's so appalling that is dreadful. And he never used his substitutes to his advantage, ended up with 5 attacking players on. What the fuck do you care about the result? Why are you so worried about not losing 2-3-4? Because with all due respect, wake up. The fans don't give a fuck. Like, the fans want to see fight, desire, and if you'd gone and got 1-1 out of that game, having 5 attacking players on the bench, you would have had heaps of praise put on you. But the way in which you manage the game, actually, the fan base is starting to work you out, that you are actually the most negative-minded manager in England.
He's scared to lose. The match was made to look like we had a chance. And we'd had, in fact, 0. Not a single chance we had in that match to win it. And you're right, James. If we risk a little bit more, we could get something from that game. We could get beat 3-0. The first half hour, City were battering us all over the shop. I thought I was the Sunday beef. But no, James. Just Wenger lost 8-2 to United once. United battered him off the park. He scored 2 goals. We lost 8-2, but he scored 2.
Yeah, but no one really remembers the game. It's just you just get bantered about it. But he beat Spurs 5-2. He never looks like scoring 5 goals in a game.
We got Tottenham in the next month or
because he had his opportunity against West Brom and other teams to shred teams apart, and he didn't take them.
That's why he doesn't. He's scared. He's scared of this loss. So you've said it to me, and there's something you're quite good at spotting this about how Bellerin has retired Pepe in that match. He's made him non-existent to the football. And that people will obviously give Pepe a lot of stick for his inability and the lack of productivity and positivity in that game. But it's all down to Bellerin, isn't it?
But he never switched them over. He didn't move him to the other side. I was just looking at the subs again. Ødegaard and Pepe in the 73rd minute for Lacazette and Smith Rowe. Like-for-like substitutions at 1-0 down in that game. And then 86 minutes, he threatens the jugular, which was El Neni for Ceballos, which, it gives Ceballos all of 4 minutes to try and add some fresh impetus to the midfield, by which time City have got utter control of managing the game.
Ruben Dias got man of the match, which I think was a bit harsh on every other player on the pitch, because Ruben Dias was lauding it. He didn't stretch a leg, did he? So,
well, I don't even know if Aubameyang had 10 touches in the game.
No, I don't think so. I mean, City flattered us with that result, didn't they? It was a flattering result, 1-0.
No, it was appalling, Bob. Honestly, and it didn't actually bode well for, if you were Benfica and you were the team and you were in the team hotel watching that game on TV, you'd be rubbing your hands together thinking, we got this lot in 4 days, we'll have them.
Yeah, you would do as well. Absolutely. And I would be thinking that. So obviously been reported in the press today and yesterday of PSG rekindling their interest in Hector Bellerin. And apparently there's rumours of Bellerin suggesting that he wants to leave. What do you think about that? Would you sell him?
Yes.
I would in a heartbeat, old bean. How much? What's his value? What's the best deal for us? Because obviously I saw someone tweet earlier on that there was a rumour of a swap for Draxler.
Yeah, which I replied to, which makes no fucking sense. It's bad journalism. Draxler's out of contract in June, so why would you swap a player that I think probably had an 18 to 22, 25 million ticket value for someone that we could actually get on a pre-contract now?
Exactly my point. It's a very good point. So Would you sell him for just cash money, or is there players out there that you try and tempt back the other way?
Well, I don't know what they're going to do with Ødegaard. We haven't seen enough of him. He's been okay so far. He's probably played like someone that costs €3 million for half a season. So, total value. So he looks like a 15 to 20 million euro player who's on €2.5 million a year as a salary. That's the kind of, I haven't seen anything more of him to suggest that he's more than that. But if you've got him, you don't need Draxler as well.
No, that's absolutely true.
I know we need central midfielders and we need centre-backs and we need right-backs. And I thought we were going to do a deal with PSG in the summer for Kazawa, their left-back, which would look like it was almost done and dusted. And then that fell through for €5 million and he's pretty much played every game for them since.
Yeah. I mean, I try and sell him for just cash, personally.
It's got to be cash because it looks like we've got to fund our own transfers again. So they've got to try and sell everyone they possibly can. There's no one in this squad, honestly, other than the homegrown players that in my opinion, isn't for sale.
Yeah, he is a homegrown player, actually, Bellerin. And obviously, there's lots of players been touted about replacing him. Max Aarons, the guy from Norwich. Would you have him?
Yeah, no. He is he's a really promising talent. He could probably step up into the next level of football. He would certainly add some dynamism. He's equal to Bellerin, if not more so, of an athlete than him.
Again, I also feel there's some negotiables there with some of our players that we've currently got out on loan or got in the squad. Players like Reece Nelson and things like that. And obviously, Tariq Lamptey, the brilliant guy down at Brighton, is in fine form and he looks good. And I would have him. He would be right up my alley as an Arsenal right back. He looked good when he played against us. Bright, bubbly young lad. Yeah, and he's homegrown, which is important, as is Max.
Yeah, I mean, Tariq
Aarons.
Lamptey's a proper talent. He looks to have all the attributes you need to be an operator in the modern game. He looks very, very astute on the football as well. Fullbacks are proper footballers now. They're expected to be able to provide a lot in the final third, as well as honour their defensive duty. So you need
absolutely. I mean, if you look at what Kieran Tierney's given us as a left back,
yeah,
versus previous incarnations.
Yeah, his ex-boss resigning today.
Yeah, Neil Lennon resigned this morning, which was very not a shock, but out of the blue.
Well, he does come across like a bit of a bad sportsman, Neil Lennon, and obviously Rangers are all but assured to win the title, aren't they? I think so.
They are,
which is a fantastic feat for our mate Stevie G, to be fair. So
yeah, and obviously last two players on the list. Sorry, back to Bellerin. I'll see if I can pronounce this correctly. Ashraf Hakimi, the Inter lad. Obviously, they're hard up. Can't even afford to play these fees at the moment. So he could be on the way, the former Real Madrid man. We've been linked with him for a few weeks now, so that would be interesting.
I think they might end up okay though, because I mean, look, if they decide obviously to move him on, then say la vie. But I think Inter Milan are also favourites to win the Serie A now, so that's going to probably come with some financial repatriation monies for them, and it's probably also going to encourage some pretty nice commercial deals as well. So if that is the case, they might be able to just do enough to hold on to him. And he is a regular starter there, and they're having a great season. So
yeah, and obviously there's other players linked to Arsenal in the right back role. Justin, the boy James Justin from Leicester, he's having a good season, playing well. We talked about
18 points clear, level game.
They are. They're miles clear.
Bob, also, actually, very interestingly, not to just dwell on Scottish football, but they also are invincible through 30 games as well.
Wow, really?
Yes, played 30, won 26, drawn 4, lost none. 473, get on this, against 9! They've conceded 9 goals in 30 games.
That's unbelievable. A
goal difference of 64.
So they've got a plus 64 goal difference. A team, I know Scottish League's obviously a lot different to the Premiership, of course. A lot harder down here. But that's Rangers, plus 64 goal difference, conceded 9. That brings us on to our new point. Mikel Arteta, case in point. I know you've got a real rant on this, James. Why is Arteta such a negative coach, James? Off you go, son. Long run.
I don't even know. I feel like I'm just bowling some military medium, actually, off a 5-pacer, just trying to get to tea. But I don't actually know, Bob. I can't really work out, but I am starting to be more of the opinion that he is the problem. You know, we looked at some numbers. Wenger was struggling, and the lack of money being made available for Arsenal when they were trying to finish top of the league was notable, and it was always their 2 players away. Then they just fell a bit deeper into the top floor, and it was, you're sort of 2 to 4 players away. Then it was like, you need a couple of players just to make sure you keep this top 4 thing going on. And then it was like, actually, now you need a player or 2 to get in the top 4. And now you need 5 or 6 players to get in the top 4, in my opinion. It's not now a couple. It's like we are light years away. We're almost one of fucking... You know, we're almost one of the guy from Tesla's satellites away from where we need to be.
But that's it, James. You've just nailed it. Top 4. It is the most open top 4 race in many a season, and we are nowhere near the fucking starting grid. We are so far away from being involved in the discussion and debate of top 4. And don't say we're this many points behind this team. We're fucking light years behind them.
I mean, mate, we are. We are so far behind. And the point I make about Wenger was, you know, his last hurrah when fans were very unhappy with him was 63 points in the season. I mentioned it earlier. He would literally chew off a fucking zoo, Arteta, for 63 points. We finished the season last year with 56 points, and it was atrocious. On our current average run rate, we'll finish this season with 52 points.
I think I said that. You know, St. James, and this is very, very interesting, that prior to Christmas, we did a few stat analysis. I think it was after 13 games, because obviously that was when Emery got sacked after 13 games. We did stat analysis on that, and I think I had Arteta coming out of 13 games there. So we are 52 points. So we have slated Arteta then. We have continued to slate him through December. Then all of a sudden, the Chelsea games come. He's turned, he's weaved, he's got some positive results. He's got the HLM boys ruling the roost, playing some good football. Yet we sit here now, the 24th of February, and we are still going to average 52 points. So realistically, there has been no fucking progression whatsoever in that, James. And I think that is diabolical.
I totally agree. It is. It's still free falling. And it, you know, the point I was making about the 2 players away, 2 to 4 players away, 2 players away from top 4, and now 5 or 6 players away, is that the notion on the other side of that graph, where you're thinking linear, is all the other teams around you have continued to invest exponentially in their sides, which means they've surpassed you. You've only got to look at the teams above you now. Tottenham Hotspur, Aston Villa, Everton. We're 11 points behind fucking West Ham United. 11 points. I mean...
Here we go, James. I've actually just found it. This was when we recorded on the 24th of November. We're now recording on the 24th of February. And we had Arsenal. This was after 9 games. Sorry, Arsenal after 9 games. So after 9 games, we were looking at averaging 50.6 points after 9 games. Yet the quality and all of that, what we're discussing about Arteta now, he's managed to get us averaging to looking like getting 2 more points this season. You know, that's fucking scandalous that we were having the worst run of Arsenal Football Club's life. Yeah, and we're averaging 52 points. But we are rejoicing in Emile Smith-Rowe and Saka and the good football that they... we beat Leeds 4-2. We beat West Brom 4-0. We beat Chelsea. We've done all those results and we're still no better off. We are distinctly average. Mediocrity should not be Arsenal's past score ever in a million years.
No. And, you mentioned West Brom. They only have 14 points from 25 games. They're all but down. Fulham are 18th and in the relegation zone. They've equally lost 11 games to us.
Sheffield United in a terrible situation.
Yes, exactly. So, we're 11 points behind West Ham, 15 points behind Leicester, Bob. That is, and we are still failing dreadfully to score goals. 31 goals in 25 games is, and this whole point about people say, we got the second best defence in the league. We haven't anymore, but, it's better. But, City have conceded 15 goals, though, and they're top. So that's 11 less than we have. Second best defence is all like, it's not like you're in the 100 metres and, you're missing by a gnat's dick. You're a couple of seconds behind the guy who's just tanked it up.
Look, having the second best defence or whatever it is in the league can only be put to good use if you're going to attack. If you have, I have the my bath never leaks, but I never put water in it attitude, then you're never gonna do it. And I'd much rather us be conceding more goals if we're scoring more. I would much rather us win every game 4-2 than 1-0. I'm sorry. I wouldn't actually. If we won every game 1-0, I'd be still fucking over the moon. Don't get me wrong. If you finish the season with a plus 38 goal difference, winning every game 1-0, you'd have a great season. But logically, that won't ever win you the league. That attitude of we will win 1-0 won't win you the league. You've got to try and batter teams in the league now because you'll get battered. Teams will score 3 past you. Leeds will score 3 past some teams. Leeds scored 2 against us. We're lucky we 4-2 up,
Well, look, you asked me about my issues with Arteta is because some of the things that are going on are absolutely on his shoulders. Not being backed by the board, I absolutely hear you. It's that is an Arsenal issue. They've done it now with him, James, and the previous 3 managers before that.
Hold on, I don't reckon that even if Arteta had all the fucking money he wanted, if Kroenke come out and said, Mikel, Edu, I'm going to give you everything you want. Go out and do what you want. Here is here is £250 million next transfer window. I have nil confidence that Edu and Arteta will spend it wisely. I have zero confidence in their ability. So Kroenke's sitting there going, let's be frank, good money after bad.
Did you not think Partey was money well spent?
I thought Partey was incredible money well spent.
Yeah.
But that's easy because if you surround it with the other transfers...
They haven't been given any other money to spend. Everything else has had to be some fucking backstreet brown envelope deal.
Yeah, but they could have,
Gabriel, do you think that was money well spent?
I thought that was a good transfer. I think it could be a good transfer.
Yeah, so they're the only 2 deals that they've been... Look, I'm not here just to completely make a fuck of Arteta. They are the only 2 deals under his management that have been done that have had any sort of investment. And I back both those transfers at the moment. I think they're both good deals. But he has been given... The point that people keep saying that our squad is average pisses me off. Like, Aubameyang's record to the start of this season was exceptional. Lacazette, people continue to knock him, but we always do the numbers, and he always comes up the right side of where the numbers are.
Favourable numbers.
Pepe's numbers, they're not poor for a first season in England, and the reason we paid the money we did for him was because his numbers were exceptional in France. Then Partey was a great acquisition. He is playing people continually who are a negative influence on the team and themselves are in bad form. Not replacing Tierney when you lose not replacing him, but giving him some support. We know Tierney's a class act on his day, but he has been injury prone since we signed him. He was injury prone when we bought him. We bought him injured. So to let Kolasinac and Maitland-Niles go in a window and not bring in support for Tierney, who was injured at the time, is utterly preposterous. I mean, it is so bad beyond the measure of people running £1 billion operation that I physically cannot. I condemn them to the sword. It is so bad to allow that to happen. You just can't. I physically can't fathom how that's okay. I can't.
It's not okay, James. It's not okay.
Decision around letting Martinez go and not replacing him and replacing him with some fucking schmuck who looks like, the brat who looks after fucking Kim Possible on the Disney Channel.
Let's just say we got fucking incredibly lucky with that transfer in that when Leno actually did fall out of the team with his suspension, we did have Matt Ryan. Not that we won the following game because we lost at Villa, and it was only one game, and obviously a loss is a loss. But yeah, we've got lucky there because Leno could have got injured.
They had to replace Runnison after 6 months. That's what they've done.
Or rather, they've not replaced Martinelli after 6 months. They've waited 6 months to replace him, which is diabolical. You've wasted £1 million on that player there. You've cancelled Matt Macy's contract. You've bought a player for £1 million. That's 2 bad deals. Well, no, let Macy go is probably fair. But bringing Runnison in is a bad deal.
The continued picking of Willian, dreadful management. I don't give a fuck. He was ruthless with Ozil. He should be the same with Willian. I don't give a fuck if he is Ronaldinho in training. If you can't convert it to the match day pitch, it's nonsense. No one won the fucking Open being a driving range like Lee Nash should have won fucking 10 majors because he could do everything you asked on call at Sandown. But but you can't you've got to convert from the driving range to the course. And I don't give a shit if he's the bee's knees at London Colney. Again, I bring back to this point. He has only one contribution, post the Fulham game on the opening day of the season. It's fucking February, so it's admissible. You don't get picked. It's at the expense of Gabriel Martinelli, who we had to re-sign on an additional contract because he was a 50 million pound target of Real Madrid after we signed him for 6 million. Give credit where credit's due to Edu because that's his connections who've brought him in. And then Martinelli to come back from injury months ago now. Everyone was fucking. I said to you at the time, the pressure on this boy is outrageous. Everyone on Twitter, he's nearly back. He's nearly back. Our saviour's here. Our saviour's here. He's hardly been fucking picked.
Bad man management. It's appalling management.
He hasn't played 90 minutes total since he's come back.
It's not getting a sniff of Gunnosaurus's jockstrap, and that's not, it's fucking bollocks, James. That
and then he's in charge of that. We've heard that he now is Edu's boss, but he gets a massive. He was promoted to manager, so he is now equally as responsible for poor transfer windows, ins and outs. So I hold him absolutely at tune for that, as well as Edu. And everything to do with the team on match days is on him. His continual usage of substitutions at the wrong times with the wrong people is costing us points weekly. His continual picking of Willian and El Neni, it absolutely baffles me. His choice to pick Bellerin over Cedric. Cedric's been better at left back than Bellerin's been at right back. Tierney's back fit, he drops Cedric. It makes no fucking sense. Holding's playing badly. Why have you dropped Gabriel post-COVID? Why has Mari not come back sooner? Why is Louise... When Louise went over to the right-hand side with Gabriel, we look good. Drops in, brings Holding back in at City, makes a fucking mistake. A
dreadful mistake as well at that.
City game, we just said it earlier in the analysis, moves Saka from right wing over to left wing after having a string of great games there. Moves Pepe to back to right wing, has to play in front of Bellerin. The two of them actually haven't clicked. Like I said, the statistics where he has played in front of a different fullback other than Bellerin, Pepe's numbers are ludicrous in front of a different fullback. So, the number 9, people want to see Aubameyang play 9, and he scored a hat-trick from there against Leeds, but he was gifted the hat-trick. It was free. It was bad. It was bad goalkeeping, and the third goal was a very instinctive finish, to be fair, but it was a cross shot which just caught everyone out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's everything he's done. He prioritised the FA Cup. He prioritised the league and lost calls in the league over the FA Cup that we were the holders of. And he got us knocked out of that, which was a route
We were caught by the fucking drug that is Arsenal Football Clubs, thinking that, he's doing this because he's pushing for the top 4. In reality, we are nowhere near the top 6. There's so much daylight between the teams that we play that are between us and that position. And the run of games that we have now, it's impossible to think, actually, how many points we'll take from our next host of Premier League games. We've got Leicester this Sunday. After that, we've got, Burnley away is actually a big game. We need to take 3 points from that game. Then Spurs at home. Then West Ham away, who are getting results against everyone at the moment. Then Liverpool at home, who are in dreadful form, but they probably sort themselves out for us. And the next game that you can see after that, where you're generally looking at taking points, is Sheffield United away on April the 10th.
Fucking hell, 2 days before the pubs open, mate. But no, you're absolutely right. And it's this prioritisation of the league, getting us knocked out of a good source into Europe from the FA Cup. And now we have put every single one of our fucking eggs in the Europa League basket, where there's teams like United and, dare I say it, Spurs, let alone the other league teams from around the world, around Europe planning it. We're not in any sort of form to be considered winning that, but we just have to win that now to get any sort of European football next year. I said this on one of our very early pods. Arsenal's best chance of Europe is the Europa League. I think I said to you, we will qualify for the Champions League next year because that's the only way we're getting into Europe. And I have to say, that's exactly what it's going to be, James. It's shit or bust with the Europa League, and it could have been better. Because it could have been better with a change of tactics earlier on in the season. What he's done by Smith Rowe and all of that, he could have done fucking early November. After getting thumped by Villa 3-0 at home on November the 8th, he could have made a tweak for the following week. That rhymed, I know. He could have done that then. And that's 6 weeks or whatever it was. Yeah, it's about 6 weeks before the Chelsea game.
But you've got,
weeks.
Still in the Europa League, you've still got Spurs, still got Villarreal, got PSV, Man United, Ajax, Rangers, Leicester, Real Sociedad, Roma.
I mean, you've just said Man United and Leicester, and I think both teams would beat us comfortably out of that. And that's just 2 teams that are close by. Yeah,
and Napoli. AC Milan. I mean, you don't want to be playing fucking Ibrahimovic.
Exactly. And that's bad. You posed a brilliant question on Twitter. You asked me, then you went and posed it. With Klopp under pressure at Liverpool, should Liverpool pull the trigger on him and sack him? Would you have him at Arsenal? 66% of people said we should have him. 66% said they would rather have Jurgen Klopp than Mikel Arteta. That's it. What on earth are the other 34% of people doing?
Honestly, bearing in mind we've already subjected Twitter people to fucks of the week. I have no clue what those people eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but
that's it.
It baffles me.
I would have Jurgen Klopp tomorrow. I asked my good friend Azza. He said, in a heartbeat. You would be in a heartbeat. I would be in a heartbeat. I mean, obviously, you've got to back him with the money, but I think if you had someone like Klopp him and you backed him with the money, and I think Kroenke would back him with the money as well, I think you'd see Arsenal actually start to eat at the top table again. I really do. And I think quickly as well, because you rightly said Arsenal do not have a mediocre squad. We've got some phenomenal players in that team that, if used in the right way, I mean, Klopp would look at that squad and think, well, right back gone. Centre-backs, well, I need another right-footed centre-back, so I replace Louise. But on the left, I'll probably keep them 2 for the time being. Keeper, I'm very happy with. Left-back, exceptional. Get a backup one, though, because he's prone. Partey in the middle. I'll probably keep Xhaka alongside him, unless I could trade him out for some good money to get who I want. He'd go through that team, and he'd turn it around. And you'll probably be looking at Arsenal beating teams and playing brilliant football, and we'll be dancing in the streets of Arsenal again, like we always wanted to do.
I mean, you need cardinal changes in the management and of the football club. If I get the guy's name right, I believe his name is Aliko Dangote, who is the African billionaire who has voiced his opinion on wanting to own Arsenal in the past. And I understand that a couple of years ago he said that he would be in a position to mount his charge to take over the football club. He might feel that with the pandemic and COVID and Arsenal's current status that he can get a bit of a chip on the deal, and maybe the Cronkies would get out. But because the club have obviously lost money with not having fans in the ground, but the ownership needs to change. The regime that runs the football club needs to be considerably more ruthless. And unfortunately now, if you had a gun to my head and I had to choose whether he retained his job or not, and it was for the sake of my family's life, I would probably remove Arteta at this point. The last week has been the real tipping point for me. I was really, really, really unflattered by the first leg of the Benfica game, and the Man City game was
sent you over the edge.
Yeah, it really did.
I mean, I must admit, James, you've said your family there. I'd fucking do it if they had a gun to my fucking goldfish's head, to be fair. You know, let alone my family. You know, you probably Arsene Wenger in the Invincible season say yes to that. But no. But that's interesting, James, because, you know, we've said that we would have Klopp. Moves us on to another point. What the fuck is going on? What on earth's going on in the league? You've got Liverpool free-falling. Literally, game after game, losing. They didn't lose at home for like about 38 bloody years. Now they're losing game after game, get beat by Brighton, they're just getting beaten all the time. They're in terrible form. Do you see them getting rid of Klopp?
Well, it'd be really interesting to understand what, how ruthless JJ Henry is.
He's an operator. He is an operator.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, it was such a Cinderella story for Liverpool finally winning a league title. You know, Klopp's won a Champions League and a league title in his reign at Liverpool. When he took over them, they were fairly mediocre. So he had one season, didn't he, where he was 6th or 7th or 8th, I think, and then he's never finished outside the top 4.
Yeah.
He's won it. Finished second with 97 points, which is outrageous. So he's brought success to them. So I don't know. It's actually a really bizarre season. I've only really focused on Arsenal because I like numbers, and people are fucking with my algorithms because of the results that Arsenal are producing and in the way in which they're producing them, that I'm somewhat not even down with the kids with other football results because I just can't work out this equation. But
well, you've got Liverpool free falling. The other absolute what the fuck moment, West Ham in 4th, clear of 5th by 2 points, clear of Arsenal by 11 points. They are playing unbelievably well, and they are looking like they're going to qualify for the Champions League. We're not, there's obviously a good number of time to go.
With all due respect and kudos to David Moyes, that bar Declan Rice, who seems to be, really the prodigal son of England, who's going to play an integral role, no doubt, in the international championships this coming June.
Some might say he's the prodigal son of Ireland, to be fair. With the utmost respect to West Ham, without having any other real high-profile names, I just can't think of one. There's not, you probably say that after Declan Rice, West Ham's next most high-profile name is Trevor Brooking, and he doesn't even play for him anymore.
Well, they're using Carroll. Mikel Antonio has been a shining light for them, but he's not really a number 9. But
Lingard's gone on loan here and playing some fine form.
Yeah, Lingard took 24 days to surpass the goal contributions or double the goal contributions Willian's given Arsenal in 8 months. So, but Lingard has gone there and been in sublime form. You're absolutely right. But the guy Souček they bought in midfield looks like a fine player as well. He's scoring goals from midfield for them.
Yeah.
I mean, there's other than that, Fabianski, an old Arsenal keeper, doing a proper sterling job. Aaron Cresswell, I think, is having a pretty good season. But
I like Aaron Cresswell. I think he's a decent left back.
yeah, I do as well. I would.
But they're playing great football and they're winning games. And the thing is, they're winning games.
But they're beating proper opposition now. They've not just beaten all the teams below them, which is one way of doing it.
Last weekend.
Exactly. And they took a point in the Spurs game in the taking 4 points out of Spurs, because obviously Lanzini scored that wonder goal in the last minute of injury time.
I remember that.
Yeah, mate, so I've got West Ham in the family, and a very good pal of mine is West Ham.
Likewise.
And likewise, obviously your family and our famous Marky.
This weekend, obviously, it's the anniversary of my brother's first ever surgery. He's been in
14 years.
First 14 years since he had his first brain surgery.
I remember it.
Yeah, I know you do.
I remember swearing at him actually when he was doing it, because I was like, "You complete fuck!" I just started one of the biggest jobs of my life. It was 3 days after they found his tumour, and I had to take compassionate leave straight away to come and support that situation, which obviously
it was madness.
Yeah, it was.
Go back to West Ham then. This was the point. I don't want to dwell on that. It's not really good listening for anyone, and I don't really want to talk too much about it yet. But Alan Kirbishley that year actually came and saw my brother in hospital.
Yeah,
he drove down from the League Managers Association dinner. And actually came and visited my brother in hospital. And I remember it wasn't that year, it was the year after, actually, that season, because that was the season when West Ham were looking like they were going to go down, and Tevez, etc., got them that miraculous...
Yeah, and Mascherano.
And they stayed up. And it was the following season Kirbishley came and visited my brother. So that would have been the...
But I must say that West Ham have been used a little bit in history as a club where people have kind of goaded them a little bit in the kind of football factory ilk, and to have fans that prefer violence to football and such alike. And whether that's true, I don't know enough about that. But just in regards to Mark's situation, without delving too deep into it, they've been a class act actually throughout his whole time in.
Mate.
With getting him into games, with sending things out, with hospital visits, with acknowledgement of your dad's 70th birthday. Yeah. I mean, honestly, a truly classy football club.
There's pictures of my brother. My brother's met David Gold, but David Gold came and spoke to him at a match. He actually went to a match with Adi Apatan, the wheelchair basketball athlete, West Ham fan. He went to the match with him. When I got married, I wrote to West Ham. This was at the beginning of last season. They got beat 5-1 or 5-0 by Man City. I emailed West Ham on the Saturday during the game. On the Monday, a lovely young lady called Georgia replied to me saying, "We'll get a shirt signed by club captain Mark Noble, if that's all right." I'm like, wow, thank you so much. Beyond my wildest dreams. It was a wedding present for him because he was the best man. About a week and a half before they sent it to me, she goes, "I'm really sorry I didn't get Mark Noble to sign it. I've got the whole first team squad instead." And it's just like, they don't have to do that at a football club. And then I emailed the same lady, lovely Georgia, about a letter to signify my dad's 70th birthday, signed by Declan Rice. I mean, Arsenal do it as well, don't get me wrong. I've just approached them. In fact, I got a letter from Unai Emery for my wedding.
Did you really?
It was the best signing he made.
Good evening, Bob.
No,
have a good evening.
Yeah, good. So, yes, indeed. So, one quick question after the Cup one. Would you have Moyes at Arsenal?
No.
Well, that's it. So, I wouldn't have Moyes at Arsenal even though he's there. So we got Leicester on Sunday, the 28th. Early kickoff again. I think we should be going all guns blazing for Benfica. So we have to beat Benfica.
I don't really care what he does in the league. Honestly, I would hold more respect for him if he looks like he uses the league for the next 13 games to trial and error players in positions where he's trying to build for next season. But that would need to cater for a manager that goes completely 360 in his style of management and actually plays in quite an expansive style of football, who's trying new things and is happy to invite teams on. Honestly, I give zero fucks if we finish 14th or if we finish 7th. Like, the league is done. We can't get to where we need to get to now. Leicester are a fine side. They're 15 points clear of us. They've got many, many players that I would love at Arsenal. And, this coming Sunday is... Well, the Benfica game, I don't even know what the team is. If I run through it, I want to see the strongest possible 11. So in my personal opinion, that at the moment would be Leno in goal, Cedric at right back, Louise at right centre back, Mari at left centre back, Tierney at left back. Just let him start, and if he can only play a half. But Partey and Xhaka, then it would be Saka, Smith Rowe, Pepe, Lacazette. That I believe that front four in that little period looked like they played the best football at the top of the pitch. And Lacazette is a cup final-esque player. He has the work rate to create something from nothing. I don't actually think Aubameyang has that in the 9. He's a more clinical finisher, but
I cannot disagree with that lineup. And if I had that team to pick from, I would play those exact same players, James, against Benfica. You need that sort of thing. I'm totally in agreement with that. And I remember Mourinho won the Europa League with United and got them a Champions League as a result of it. He put all of his eggs in that Europa League basket and basically put his fingers up at the league. And I need and want Arteta to do that. We must go all out. If we get beat by Man United in the quarterfinal, 3-2 on aggregate after giving it our all, then we get knocked out and then never mind. But if we go out on away goals against Benfica Thursday evening, then I will be upset, I will be angered, and I will hold Arteta responsible.
Yeah, I agree.
But, football's football, mate. We can all live and die another day.
Let's do some predictions then, Bob, to wrap up. Let's just do both games. What are you predicting for Benfica?
Gun to my head, gun to the goldfish's head. Arsenal will win 2-1 against Benfica Thursday evening. I have to say they'll do that.
Yeah, I've got 2-1.
And if we beat Benfica...
Who will score?
Saka will score. And I'll tell you Arsenal's goal scorers. Arsenal's goal scorers will be Saka and Luiz.
Nice, I like that. I think 2-1 as well. And just because I really want him to bounce back, because it will show really good mental strength, I'm going to say more of an emotional one that Pepe will score.
We win. I don't care. But yeah, I agree. I'd like him to score. And against Leicester, Leicester's an interesting one. I think if we beat Benfica, I think we can get a result against Leicester. I think we could sneak a 2-1 win there. I think if we get beat... Actually, what am I fucking talking about? I'm talking bollocks. It's a 12 o'clock kickoff. We will get beat by Leicester 1-0 because they will score in the first 3 minutes and that'll be it.
Yeah, Vardy's fit, so...
he scores always against Arsenal.
Yeah, I just don't see... I'm back to the point where I don't see Arsenal scoring 2 goals in league games again. So I actually think that game will finish 1-1.
Oh.
And I think Aubameyang will score in that game. So.
Oh, very good, very good. Well, it's been a wonderful, enchanting discussion with you again this week, James.
Yeah, I wouldn't quite call it wonderful and enchanting. It's a very fed up kind of, feels like a bit of a Groundhog Day kind of thing. It's... I don't actually see light at the end of Arsenal's tunnel in their current regime. Something drastic has to change. And, it has to change quick, but, Thursday's integral. There are a couple of things that can change it. A manager change, an ownership change, a Europa League win, an emergence of talent from a fucking bus stop in North London. I honestly don't know, Bob. But nonetheless, we support the club. We don't support the people. And, we fight on.
We do indeed. And on that solemn... authoritative terms. I think we finished for the week, haven't we, James?
I think we have. So we wish you all well. We hope to be celebrating Europa League success, moving into the 16, and hopefully Arteta can salvage something from this shitstorm.
Yes, indeed.
Stay safe, everyone.
See you soon. Bye-bye.